Hi, my name is Elaine Haight, and I'm here to teach you Java. I hope you have a great time and learn a lot this quarter. Today in this short video, I just want to go through these very important aspects of the class. Prerequisites, the organization of the class, about our Zybook, strategies for studying and assignments and exams and things like that. So let's start out with the prerequisites. There are always a lot of advanced students here at Foothill, but this class is geared to beginners. You have no programming experience that's required for this class at all. You do need to know high school algebra. Usually we find that once you learn it, you never forget it, but you cannot do any programming unless you passed your algebra class. It's very, very important. You also have to be able to use a computer and a browser, be able to pull down menus and push buttons and things like that. Most importantly, you have to be open to thinking in a very methodical, focused, and logical way. Pay attention to every little detail. Keep good notes, stay very focused while you're studying, and I'll give you some strategies about how to do that because I know it may be very different from the way you study other subjects here at college. The way this class is organized is all through Canvas. Everything goes through Canvas. That's where you're watching this video right now. And so each week there'll be one module, so you can just worry about all the work that's balled up in that one module for the week. So this week, for example, there'll be this video and maybe another one too. There is another one. There'll be one Zybook chapter that you have to go through. And the Zybook, I hope you find it to be very motivating, and it's supposed to keep you active and engaged. I also ask you one discussion question each week, and I'm asking you to answer the question. This week, I'm asking you to introduce yourself to the class. Where are you from, and why are you taking this class? So you're going to have to go into that discussion forum and reply. I'll show you how to do that right here. We're going to go into that discussion forum and reply to the question that I'm asking for the week. And so here, this is this week, and we have a question here to introduce yourself. And so what I want you to do this week is click on the reply there and type in your response to the question. And then there's a post reply button down here that you have to click on in order to actually post it. So when you have answered all those questions for the whole quarter, you get 5% of the grade. Because 5% of your grade is coming from that particular aspect of the class. Then there's also a discussion forum where you can ask questions. If you have any questions, you can't get your program to work. You just have a question about something in the Zybook or something in one of the modules. Any question at all you can ask. There in the discussion forum for week 1. And then there's going to be an assignment. The first half of the quarter, there's Zylab. So you're going to go off into the Zylab book and write an actual program. That'll be one program you're going to write every week of the quarter. We'll also have a midterm and a final exam. And there are lots of places that you can go to for help. So if you're having trouble with any of this, and you're thinking, and you can't answer this question, you can't get your program to work. If you struggle for an hour, you need to, at that point, stop, go to the discussion forum, and ask your question. Oftentimes, there's also other places to go to for help. This is the home page of our site here. This is the home page. And if you scroll down, you can see many places to go to for help. The discussion forum is really important to use. That's the way that real programmers help each other in the real world. And also, I think you find that just composing a question for the discussion forum often brings you a long way towards your answer. It really helps you frame the question which is necessary in order for you to answer it or to even understand an answer. So let's go to the next, number 3. Zybook is a different sort of a book because it's not, paper. It's been very successful, and hopefully it won't waste your time. I think it's a very efficient way of learning because it keeps you awake. Reading through a textbook can be very, very dull, and at least when I was in college, it would put me to sleep most of the time. So this keeps you awake, but you have to go to the Zybook through our Canvas site. Otherwise, you won't get credit for your assignments. So every time you go to the Zybook, you have to start in the Canvas site and click there to go over to the Zybook. And I'll show you that right here. For example, if we're in the modules where most of the material is, if you are ready to do your Zylab for the week, you click on the Zylab, and then it takes you click one more time, and that will take you to a new window with the Zylab in there. So it's important that you always go through the Canvas site. Start in our Canvas site. It's also easier because then you just always start with the Canvas site, and that keeps track of what you've done, what you still need to do. So strategies, studying complete, 1 module every week. I tried to keep things organized and straightforward, and you've got 1 module each week, and the module has everything you need to do for the week. You cannot take a week off in the middle of the quarter. I'm sorry to say, most of the time, if people go 7 days without studying, they don't complete the class. If you just plod through week to week to week. Hopefully it's not plodding. Hopefully you're interested and excited by the material. But you do have to keep at it every week in order to make progress. If something terrible is happening in your life, you've got to take a week off. There's first of all, I don't recommend it at all. Couple things you can do. You can do your work before the week that you need to take off. So get ahead of the class. That's one way of doing it. And the other way of doing it, which is not as good, is to try to catch up later. We do have a lot of places to go to for help. Don't struggle alone. One other thing, there's 2 things I want to tell you. Whenever you're studying computer science, you have to have a pencil and paper right next to you. Pencil and paper must be right next to you all the time. You're going to write down on that paper notes that you have to make sure to remember. You need to write down questions that you need to get answered. Oftentimes you'll be in the middle of writing a program and a question will come up in your mind, and you don't want to take your mind off the task at hand, which is writing your program. But you know you're going to need to answer this question. So you write it down on the piece of paper and you get back to it later when you have time. You get the answer to the question by posting it in the discussion forum or something like that, looking it up. So every time you go to start studying, make sure you have that pencil and paper. It sounds old-fashioned, but if you go and you watch any programmer while they're working, you will always see them. They'll have all these computers in front of them, all these screens, and they'll always have a pencil and paper next to them. For this very reason. The other thing is we have a Zybook's programming window built into our Zybook where you can just test things out. So I'll show you what this looks like here. I put it in our homepage of our Canvas site. I put a link to it. I also put a glossary here, by the way, for looking up terms that you see if you don't understand what they are. And then here, if you want to write some Java code and just try to run it right now, just to test something out, you have this that's called the Zybook's built-in programming window. And I put it at the end of chapter 1 of your Zybook. So if you want to get to it, you can either go to it through Canvas or go to the bottom of chapter 1 and you can see Zybook's built-in programming window. And that allows you to practice any kind of Java code that you might need to see what happens. Okay, now your assignments, each week you're going to be writing 1 program That's called a Xylab. At the beginning of the quarter, the programs are built into our Xy book, the first half of the quarter. And so you're going to have to write your own program from scratch. A lot of times people have trouble getting started, so make sure to ask a lot of questions if you have such trouble. You have to get to the Xylab from the Canvas module. All these programming assignments are worth 45% of the grade, and your answers to the weekly question are worth 5%. This week you have to introduce yourself. That's the weekly question this week, and each week it'll be a different question for you. This week I'm asking you to introduce yourself. So those are the assignments each week you have to submit. And then we have a midterm and a final exam as well. You can see the dates on the syllabus, and the midterm and the final together make up 50% of your grade. So that means that your grade is worth 45% lab assignments, 5% that weekly discussion question you have to answer, 15 for the midterm, 15 for the final. So go to the syllabus and make sure you look and see the dates of the midterm and the final. I'll try to remind you, but it's really important that you don't miss out on those dates. I'll give you a window of 3 or 4 days to take each of those exams. You have to make sure not to miss that window. And let's start studying right now.